Hello friends, welcome back to Engineering Today, and we're back with some latest space updates. We'll first talk about NASA's backup plans to save ISS launches getting stopped by any probable Starship explosion. We'll then end up with Amazon's Project Kuiper broadband constellation's initial two satellites, KuiperSat-1 and KuiperSat-2, will launch on the inaugural mission of the United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket. Let's get started with NASA's backup plan to save ISS launches from effects of Starship operation in Florida. Recently, during a press conference, Bill Gerstenmaier, SpaceX's vice president for build and flight reliability, stated that SpaceX is now arranging for fresh upgrades in the Space Launch Complex 40, or SLC-40, to make it steadily available for upcoming crew and cargo launches to the International Space Station. We all know that SpaceX is currently under a commercial crew contract with NASA to routinely send crew and cargo missions to the International Space Station using its Dragon capsule and Falcon 9 rocket. To carry out these missions, SpaceX has taken the LC-39A pad from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, Florida, in lease. Recently, SpaceX teams have been working near LC-39A to develop a new Starship pad in Florida. It's assumed that any mishap during Starship operations may put strong effect on launches from 39A pad. To save space station launches from any break due to Starship, NASA wants SpaceX to use SLC-40 pad for a backup. Till now, LC-39A is the only pad from where launches to space station have been carried out. Back in June, NASA officials had stated that if a Starship prototype explodes near LC-39A, then it's possible that NASA will lose its only pad that launches missions to the space station. Starships, in their initial stages, have a huge probability to explode during tests and launches, as we've seen before. Moreover, we've also witnessed the range of influence any Starship test carries from one of the static fire tests that had started a brush fire a month ago. Earlier, after a Falcon 9 explosion, the Cape Canaveral pad took heavy damages, taking almost a year to get completely repaired. So if anything happens to 39A pad, NASA will not be able to send any crew and cargo to the station, and which they cannot bear. So this backup plan seems very promising. NASA had selected SpaceX's Starship to land humans on the Moon by late 2025 as part of their Artemis 3 mission. So Starships coming to Florida is inevitable. Moreover, Starship pad work is almost nearly completed, which is a few hundred feet from the pad 39A. But it seems that risk factor from Starship launches in Florida will be smaller, as Gerstenmaier said. Our intent is to bring Starship to 39A after we have a reliable vehicle. We'll do a series of tests in Boca Chica to make sure the vehicle's ready to go. When we think we have a good and reliable vehicle, we'll bring it to 39A. He also said that SpaceX will not bring the Starship to Kennedy Space Center until the backup plans are completely carried out. Back in 2007, SpaceX had taken SLC-40 pad in lease from the United States Air Force. As per backup plans, SpaceX is upgrading the pad. Gerstenmaier said, "We've already started the work to begin the preparations for pad 40. We've ordered some hardware, put some contracts into place. It gives us some flexibility to move some things off 39A, which helps us balance launches off both pads." Sources state that SLC-40 will initially support cargo missions. Later, crew missions will be added. In our next update, Amazon's Project Kuiper broadband constellation's initial two satellites, KuiperSat-1 and KuiperSat-2, will launch on the inaugural mission of the United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket, the company said on October 12. According to ULA, Vulcan will make its first flight from the company's launch facility in Cape Canaveral, Florida, in the first quarter of 2023. The Blue Origin BE-4 engine, which drives the initial stage of the vehicle, has been developed and tested later than expected, causing Vulcan to be years behind schedule. In a news release on October 12, ULA CEO Tory Bruno stated that the first Vulcan launch vehicle is almost finished at ULA's plant in Decatur, Alabama, and is waiting the installation of its BE-4 engines. In November, according to ULA, we anticipate shipping the finished vehicle to the launch site. Astrobotic, which is sending the Peregrine lunar lander to the Moon as part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program, is now anticipated to be the payload client for the first Vulcan mission. Along with Amazon's 2 test satellites, the rocket will also deploy Celestis payloads. As per Rajiv Badyal, Vice President of Technology for Project Kuiper, our prototype satellites will be ready this year, and we look forward to flying with ULA. We'll use findings from the mission to help finalize design, deployment, and operational plans for our commercial satellite system. To launch its 3,236 satellite constellation, Amazon has arranged up to 92 launches with ULA, Arianespace, and Blue Origin. We'll end today's updates with SpaceX capsule splashes down, returning 4 astronauts from space station. After nearly 6 months of study on board the orbital outpost, the 4th long-duration astronaut team flown by SpaceX to the International Space Station, ISS, successfully returned to Earth on Friday, splashing down in the Atlantic Ocean off Florida. After a 5-hour autonomous flight from the International Space Station, the Freedom Crew Dragon spacecraft, which was carrying 3 NASA astronauts from the United States and an Italian crewmate from the European Space Agency, parachuted into the ocean. A joint NASA-SpaceX webcast carried live coverage of splashdown under clear skies at around 4:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. On the 27th of April, Freedom's orbital mission got underway. The crew included Italian Samantha Cristoforetti, age 45, who served as the expedition's commander, as well as Americans Bob Hines, 47, Jessica Watkins, 34, and Kjell Lindgren, 49, an NASA astronaut. Watkins joined the first long-duration ISS trip as an African-American woman. To give the 4 astronauts their first chance to breathe fresh air in more than 24 weeks, rescue teams let them exit the heat-scorched Crew Dragon by opening the side hatch in less than an hour. The 4 crew members were helped onto special gurneys while waving and giving thumbs up for cameras. They were still wearing their helmeted white and black spacesuits but had lost strength and balance due to 170 days in weightlessness. Veteran NASA astronaut Megan McArthur was among those waiting for them on the ship's deck. Prior to being transported by helicopter back to Florida, each returning astronaut was to undergo a standard medical examination on board the ship. Temperatures outside the capsule reached 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit after the catastrophic re-entry plunge through Earth's atmosphere that was necessary to complete the orbital mission, 1,930 degrees Celsius. NASA reports that the crew traveled nearly 72 million miles, that's 116 million kilometers, in space during their tenure on board the space station, orbiting Earth 2,720 times, or once every 90 minutes. They left a week after the replacement crew, Crew 5, who consisted of a Russian cosmonaut, a Japanese astronaut, and 2 NASA crew members, including the first Native American woman in orbit, had gotten to the space station. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. This will help us to improve.